No one would have believed in the early years of the 21st century that our world was being watched by intelligences greater than our own. Yet, across the gulf of space, intellect, vast and cool and unsympathetic, regarded our planet with envious eyes. And slowly and surely through their plans against us.
It involves talk of alien sightings at Bayside Marketplace. On New Year's Day, there was a massive police response in downtown Miami. More than 50 young people armed with
Now, how much of this as Christians will we see? So that really is the question. How much of this are we going to see? I guess the other question is, what are we seeing? What exactly is happening? It's very easy to discount things, but every once in a while something comes along that makes you go, that's the song, that makes you think and then rethink. Maybe something comes along and you look at it and you follow it away and go, it is what it is. But then every once in a while, a story just refuses to die, and you have to ask yourself why. One of these stories that I think reaches into the metaphysical, philosophical concept that Valet talks about, the practical pragmatic that we talk about, is the story that took place in Miami, the alien at the Bayside Mall incident. Let me pause and let you take a look at some of the news response of the day, just to refresh our memory before we jump right in.
It involves talk of alien sightings at Bayside Marketplace. On New Year's Day, there was a massive police response in downtown Miami. More than 50 young people armed with sticks began fighting. Police say juveniles were also setting off fireworks, causing chaos.
So now people are posting online saying that police weren't there to handle a group of rowdy teens, but rather 8 to 10 feet tall, shadowy aliens. Conspiracy theories are saying a big creature could be seen standing in front of the entrance to the shopping area, Bayside. Today, the phrases Miami Mall and aliens in Miami have been among the top 10 searches on Twitter's trending tab. Twitter, of course, now called X. And Google News even has several reports questioning the event.
So we reached out to the Miami Police Department. They issued a statement saying in part, quote, there were no aliens, UFOs, or ETs. No airports were closed, no power outages. Facepalm emoji was included in the statement.
Please disperse! Nothing to see here, please!
On a humid night in January 2024, Bayside Marketplace in downtown Miami became the center of internet frenzy. Videos flooded TikTok, and at the time what we called Twitter, showing flashing lights, police response, and that's heavy police response. And most intriguingly, out of the blue, what people were claiming were 10-foot tall aliens roaming the mall. Within hours, hashtags like #Miami Mall Alien and UFO in Miami trended worldwide. Now, I'm just going to say as we go along, one of the things that stood out to me immediately was the 10-foot tall part, not the alien, because that's not the norm. But that does connect to the Bible just a little bit, but we'll come back to that in just a minute. Within minutes, users began stitching the videos with captions like, quote, something's not right here, or Miami's being covered up. UFO TikTok accounts reposted the footage, zooming in on a dark, blurry figure near a line of police cars. Someone slowed the video down. Someone else added eerie music, and suddenly, what was a chaotic Saturday night at the mall became quote-unquote proof of an extraterrestrial encounter. Now, it has since been dismissed, but has it been? What would it look like if there was an encounter? Unraveling the mystery at the Miami Bayside Marketplace. Were there really aliens at Miami Mall? The viral incident that sparked a frenzy on social media. On Monday, what seemed like an ordinary day on that Bayside Marketplace near South Beach turned chaotic. Now, what we do know is this. Approximately 50 teenagers ignited fireworks, causing mass panic among visitors. The scene was mistaken for a shooting, led to the Miami Police Department intervening for crowd control. Now, Michael Vega, Miami's PD public information officer, confirms the arrest of 4 teens and clarifies the misconception. But here's where it gets wild. Social media exploded with theories of an alien invasion at the mall. Users fixated on grainy videos claiming to show Miami Mall aliens, stirring up a storm of speculation and memes. Now, one of the things that's interesting is you can go either way on this in a sense. You could go, okay, there was, a police response because of the teens and this and that, but there were a lot of people, not a few. There were a lot of people that were making claims that they were seeing things. People were making extraordinary claims. Now, one of the things that ended up happening, and one popular claim, was that the government was covering up some kind of alien or dimensional landing. Some people insisted that some of the users online were insisting that military personnel had been deployed to the mall. There were, as mentioned before, grainy screenshots. There were even some that showed what they believed were a dark figure within the mall, and you can see that in the video. Others linked it to ongoing rumors about U.S. government allegedly hiding alien technology and preparing for disclosure. And let's remember when this took place. We weren't in the age of disclosure yet. This was all brand new. What made these conspiracies so sticky wasn't just the content. It was the community they created. In comment threads and live streams, people debated footage frame by frame. They shared intel and dismissed skeptics as part of the cover-up. Believing in the Miami Mall alien became a way to belong, to participate in the mystery together. The fact of the matter is there's a lot of people, not in the tens of thousands, not in the hundreds of thousands, but in the millions who have claimed to have an encounter of the first, second, third, and even of the fourth kind. There were threads on Reddit, commenters all around, and then there was the breakdown of the videos themselves. I have been to that mall twice, and I'm going to tell you, Miami is weird, but there's something weird about that mall. And the question is, what exactly happened on that day? There were some legit claims that came out. Some people claim that video of the police cars got taken down minutes after posting. That is true. You could see an intentional scrubbing effort take place. All the clips on TikTok from that night began to disappear over the next couple days. People's phones were confiscated by the authorities, and the Miami Mall CCTV footage was confiscated and scrubbed. The narrative quickly merged with the cover-up theory that the government and the police intentionally removed evidence to hide proof of some kind of alien dimensional intrusion. Now, of course, we can trust the government. Absolutely we can, because after all, we've got years and years and years of valid, reasonable, rational excuses like Epstein killed himself. Here's the key that we do know. No one died. There were no reports of gunfire. It was fireworks. The police treated it as a disturbance, and that's why they showed up with over 60 police cars. There were no clear, pure pictures of these aliens. There were some grainy pictures that make you pause. And then there was the description of the aliens themselves, tall, humanoid beings. There was a video footage of an alleged alien creature in Miami that generated a lot. Somebody actually grabbed a screenshot. A video footage of an alleged 10-foot alien creature in Miami went viral on social media. People trying to show that there was a dark line as it was coming in and out of the dimension. The blurry figure has sparked a great number of comments, and some people tend to see what they want to see. Some people see it as an alien, some people don't. But regardless, something happened there. Something that got a lot of people's attention, because you don't just run from fireworks thinking it's gunshot, run outside and then go, oh, by the way, I saw a 10-foot alien. It wasn't that at all. So the question is, on that night in Miami, what actually happened? And I guess the even deeper question that we run into is, where do we draw the line between myth and reality? Between over-exotic and over-excited witnesses and people that are actually seeing an incursion? And even deeper in what we're talking about, how much of this is the conditioning process, not for today, but for tomorrow? Kevin, we've looked at this before. We've talked about this subject now for years. And as I said, as we were going through, we're past the point of disclosure. I mean, disclosure, that ship has sailed. What we're talking about now is definition, discernment, definement. What are we actually looking at? What's going on? So let's start with the low-hanging fruit of the Miami incident. It doesn't go away. To be honest with you, there's some interesting video. There's some interesting anomalies. It would be easy if it would just to wad it up and throw it away. But like all of these things, there seems to be enough questions that make you go, huh? What do you think about this Miami incident?
Well, yeah, you said there's some weird things surrounding it. And whenever you have any kind of large scale operation that takes place, I mean, for example, take 9/11.
Okay.
9/11, they said terrorists flew planes into the buildings. We know this because we found their unburned passports.
We found one unburned license. Yes.
Yeah, we found the license. We found the passports. That's it. That's the story. That's what happened. That's
within like 30 minutes of this happening. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to accept this. This is what it is. 26 years ago, whatever, 25 years ago, that's what had happened. Now, jump to this incident in 2024 or 2025, whenever this was, 24, and there was no explanation. There was no, this is what happened. There was no release of body cam footage, no security footage, and then the huge police response, and there was no explanation about why there was such a big police response. And I get it. If there's reports of gunshots or explosives going off, you're going to have a big response.
Yeah.
And you're going to have video footage. This is what happened. But the fact that nothing is being said about it and no explanation for this leads me to believe that there is something more happening.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're exactly right, because, you come back to it and it's like we were made fun of for January 6th.
Right.
And then, oh no, it actually come to be true. And when you look at this, it is. I mean, the police response was massive. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the video, let's pull up right now. Here's the video of the quote unquote, what some people believe is the alien walking. It's grainy. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. But let's take a video and let's take a look at this and tell me what you think.
So now people are posting online saying that police weren't there to handle a group of rowdy teens, but rather 8 to 10 feet tall shadowy aliens. Conspiracy theories are saying a big creature could be seen standing in front of the entrance to the shopping area, Bayside. Today, the phrases Miami Mall and aliens of Miami have been among the top 10 searches on Twitter's trending tab. Twitter, of course, now called X. And Google News even has several reports questioning the event.
Okay, so you can see that it's a massive response. Mm-hmm. But like, how do you explain what that is right there? Because if you look at that in proportion to the cars, it's pretty big.
Oh yeah, it's big, and there's definitely something there.
I mean, I don't know what that is.
Whether it's and the fact that nobody's come out to debunk.
Yes.
Nobody's come out and said no. That's been altered. It's just kind of existing out there, and then no explanation.
The other thing too is that I'd be interested to know. Like, I mean, again, you get like you said, you get no feedback.
Right.
And it's the same thing with all this stuff. They don't give you answers that are rational.
Right.
And then they call you irrational for questioning their story.
Yeah.
So they don't give you clear answers that are rational for how one of the most high profile guys who's subject to suicide gets to commit suicide.
I'm not Jeffrey Epstein.
And the cameras are all shut down.
Yeah.
I'm Palm Beach Pete.
So that's irrational. When you ask a question, same thing with Charlie Kirk and the assassination. Legitimate questions, man. Legitimate questions. How does that work? How does that happen? How does a guy get up there who's never been up there before, shoot with one shot, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get into that now, but how does that happen? Well, you're irrational, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, maybe I am. I'm just asking. I'm not saying that I'm just asking. So here's my question. Where are all the cops? I mean, that thing is walking or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But like every single cop has abandoned his car, is in there. And what is that? Is it a drone? what is it? Is it like a really, really fat cop? I don't know what it is, What is it? It's when you look at the proportions of it.
Yeah.
If you can look at that again real quick, like right there, that is pretty proportional, because what I'm doing is put your arrow on, if you can, as you come straight down to the telephone pole, come straight down right. Yeah, see the proportion?
Yeah.
The measurement there? Okay, and then there. That, whatever that is tall.
It's very tall. It's very large, and it's moving in a manner that is otherworldly. It's ethereal. It's shimmering. It's somewhat transparent.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's being just reported on news, on just regular news. They're like, oh yeah, and this, and there's just no answer behind it. There's nobody coming out that it was a prank. There's nobody coming out claiming responsibility for the video. They're just letting it live out there. And what's always interesting to me is whenever entertainment mirrors things that is actually happening. For The Simpsons, we talk about The Simpsons. Simpsons predict everything. The Matrix predicted things like that. If you remember the TV show Fringe, that had the different dimensions that they were dealing with the other dimension. Whenever there were dimensional anomalies, they would have that shimmering effect, just like is what is happening here.
Yes.
So it's just kind of, is it art imitating life, or is it art telling us this is what's going on, this is what we've seen? It's just some weird coincidences happening there.
Yeah, well, it's interesting too, because obviously when you think about that, it is interesting, because when you look at the Bible talks about these beings having that shimmering effect. Either light, which is where you get the term the Anunnaki, the shining ones, right? So it's either light, or you have that strobe effect going on, and the interconnectivity is always there. You've got that going on. One of them said, is interesting, one of the witnesses described it 10 foot tall, and it looked like a silver surfer shimmering kind of a look. And I'm like, that's kind of interesting. That's interesting that you have the Fantastic Four? Yeah. And then you've got them fighting the silver surfer. It just the question is, what influences what? Is art being influenced by life, or is life influencing art? But maybe there's a reason for what that thing is. Maybe there's a reason, because we're not talking about a handful. We're talking about dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of people that were claiming what they saw.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a rational explanation for that. But man, there's still some other anomalies
and
that take place. Go ahead and fill us in.
Well, a lot of people are saying that there was some sort of EMP or even a signal jamming taking place, because, like you said, dozens and dozens of people reported having the videos and they're gone, or their phone is completely wiped, their phone is completely erased, all their pictures are gone, or they had photos or videos of it, but the files got corrupted, or they were so grainy, so blurry, nothing showed up, which kind of goes along the whole interdimensional theory when it comes to any UFO or any kind of Bigfoot sighting or ghost sighting like that. If somebody sees something weird, they take their phone out, which they use cell phones now, iPhones to film, 4K, 8K quality movies. And then when we take it out to film something, it's grainy, like it was recorded on a camcorder from the 80s. And it's like there's some sort of interdimensional interference that affects the electronics, making it so grainy and corrupting the files. It's just strange. You see all these people having these same experiences, not just from Miami, but from any other encounters they're having.
Okay, so let's go over it. There's some anomalies here that you and I were talking about. So let's just go down our list of interesting items. You already mentioned the reports of people trying to go live stream, the EMP. Of course, if you had a being or beings from another dimension, and they had that electromagnetic pulsation, it's possible that could happen. Radiation from burns has shown up and things like that, so that's possible. But let's go down some of these interesting items. You've got it through here, mentioned that we were talking about what makes this particular case in Miami interesting.
Well, we mentioned the scale of the police response, the missing footage. But one of the things that's very interesting is what's the most universally guarded place that nobody other than government officials from different countries can get to?
That would be Antarctica.
So you look at Antarctica, we can't get there. There's lots of UFO sightings. They say there's bases there, there's crash sites there, there's testing sites there, things that other countries, we can't agree on anything country to country, but we can't agree on that you can't go there.
Mm-hmm.
But they have something there. So the coordinates to Antarctica, you look at those, I'll throw them up on the screen now. You can see those coordinates to Antarctica, the longitude and the latitude. But if you were to flip those around, same coordinates, just flip them, you see those same coordinates are the Bayside Mall. Not just
in reverse.
Just in reverse. Not just a little bit, not just kind of close, but exact same coordinates, which could be, they said, oh, the aliens showed up to the wrong place, or the interdimensional shift. They typed in the address wrong. Which, hey, I've been guilty of typing in a wrong address or two and getting us lost in the middle of nowhere in Texas. But that's another story for another time.
Another story for another time.
You drove almost a sixth of the way across the country in the wrong direction.
So you just think that's just kind of a strange coincidence. It's the same coordinates, just flipped over.
You know, it's interesting. I was just, when we were coming back from Spain recently, the last movie I watched was the last of the Mission Impossible. The theme of the last Mission Impossible is that the world has been taken over by AI. And the only way to stop it is, of course, Ethan and Hunt and all that kind of stuff like that. One of the things is they go to a submarine, not trying to give the plot away, they go to a submarine, get the special thing that they need, and the coordinates are sent. When he gets the coordinates, they are on the opposite side of where they thought they were supposed to go. And he said, well, they did that on purpose to send the bad guys to the wrong area. So it's the exact opposite of where it should be. It is interesting that those coordinates match. I mean, maybe it's not the beings that open up the windows. See, that's where our assumption comes in. There is an assumption going back to the Garden of Eden, but certainly Genesis chapter 6, that we're the innocent victims. The powers of darkness, the angelic beings are opening up the doors. No. We're the ones that are enticing the gods. Yeah. We're the ones that are standing at the tree of knowledge of good and evil. She had to be standing there looking at it. So she was the one that was asking questions about it.
Just like the men at Sodom were beating on the door trying to get at the angels.
The men at Sodom were beating at the door. We built So it's possible that we have come up with a way to open up certain coordinates, and maybe that's one of the reasons why Antarctica is that. Yeah. Something gets put in backwards, and then all of a sudden you do, because cover that again. We talked a little bit about that, but the interdimensional rift, Project Blue Beams, and the appearance of these. Tell us a little bit about that, because that, if you got it wrong and you opened up a door, what would it look like for beings coming from the other side, or Project Blue Beam test? Either one of those.
Yeah. If it's a Project Blue Beam test, I mean, that's a perfect place to do it, and it caused mass chaos. It could have been just a test, just to see how the public would react to seeing something like that. Like you said, we're the ones that instigate those things. A lot of this disclosure is coming out now. What's his name? Jeremy Corbell was saying that it's not coming out because they want to give it to us. It's because it's being provoked by investigators. That they are the ones that, because these investigators now are having so much evidence, seeing so many things, now they have to release these things to us, just because we want to know what's going on, because there's so many anomalies, so many crazy things happening there. And that could be a good way to that Project Blue Beam was going to be used in Cuba to fake a return of Jesus Christ and cause mass hysteria there too.
And that's where, to go back to what we were talking about, and Valet was mentioning the microwave kind of, that's where the first reports of people that were being affected by those kind of waves. The thing about that was down in Cuba.
Yeah, and then they used pretty high technology to overthrow Venezuela as well too. Delta Force came in there and used similar technology there. So how this actually looks, this whole shimmering, shadowy thing, and us looking through a veil, seeing something, it's just like when Lord of the Rings when Frodo puts on the ring and goes into that in-between dimension there. He sees the same things. It's shadowy. They're transparent. It's, again, is it art imitating life, or is it life imitating art, or are they just telling us this is what it's like?
Well, what's interesting about Miami...
Got some weird stuff.
Yeah. What's interesting about Miami is the way, no matter how you get around it, Miami is got some weirdness to it.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about South Beach. I'm not talking about Birdcage. That's the low-hanging fruit of weirdness right there. Bermuda Triangle, the Miami Circle, Coral Castle.
Yeah.
These are huge. We're going to land pretty hard on the Coral Castle, but tell us a little bit about these other anomalies here.
Yeah, the Bermuda Triangle, which has a point, that one of the points goes right into Miami, which, full disclosure, growing up in the 80s and 90s, I assumed the Bermuda Triangle would have been more of a threat in my life than it is today. I don't know if it is Unsolved Mysteries or Twilight Zone or whatever it was, but I always was kind of scared of that being so close to my home.
Yes.
However, it is not that much. But Edgar Cayce is a psychic, and he's very, very famous. He's rumored to say that is where Atlantis is, and believes other links to other ancient civilizations are there too.
Well, and we've done way back in the day, we talked about the Bermuda Triangle. You really can't get away from. So this is something that's really interesting because, like I said, there may be rational explanations, but these places get lore for a reason.
Yeah. Nobody
just wakes up and says, you know what, I think Bermuda Triangle sounds like a good. I mean, it doesn't work that way. There's a lore for the reason. There's been, I remember that one of the Bible teachers used to talk about some of the worst hot spots are near water.
Yeah.
Miami, New Orleans. You can go on and on, San Francisco.
Yeah, and one of the other points for the Bermuda Triangle goes down to, I think it's San Juan, Puerto Rico. And that's where a lot of those UFO sightings of them coming out and going into the water were as well, too.
Yeah.
So there's some strange things happening there.
In fact, if I had to guess, this would be an interesting thought, but that now we're digressing a little bit because the question is it extraterrestrial?
Right.
I'm not so sure about that because I'm not so sure that the heavens are the way that we have been told that they are.
Right.
So that would be. The question is, are they interdimensional? I would say yes. I think the Bible's clear about that. The other question is, are they intraterrestrial? And I would submit to you, yes. I mean, the witch at Endor said, I see gods ascending. We know that paradise was led up into heaven with Christ, but there is still Hades, technical proper, Sheol, or the other side of paradise is still going to be there. And then there's ultimately the beings that are chained in the pit. And then you have the 4 angels that are locked down in the Euphrates as we speak right now.
Right.
Again, water being the interesting thing. Water in the deep. Jonah was through the water. I mean, there's just a lot of connectivity there.
Yeah, and how do the Catholic priests get the demons to get away from them? They throw what on them?
Holy water.
Holy water.
Holy water.
Yeah.
All right, so one of the things we mentioned on here is the perfect circles carved in the limestone.
Yeah, Miami Circle. They're saying that, so this site is only 1 mile away from the mall. It's a national park. They're right there on the water in Biscayne Bay. But it's a perfect circle, 38-foot diameter circle that lines up with some of the astrological signs and the marks. And they date this back 2,000 years to the first century. So how these people, how this tribe would have any access to anything to be able to see that unless it was given to them.
Yeah,
the ability to carve a perfect circle in limestone 2,000 plus years ago, either they were more technologically advanced than we give them credit for, or they had influence from outside of this world,
they inherited that post flood. In other words, it was there prior to the flood, and they inherited that.
Yeah, because if you were to connect different ley lines, they say, different energy patterns.
Yeah,
these all connect down to the pyramids in Peru and in South and Central America, and then over to Egypt and everything like that. So all these have different connections. Those are some of the things that Tesla was trying to, get into for that free energy.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that down the road, but I mean, I absolutely think Tesla was way ahead of his time understanding that. So the big one that really jumps out, if you know, and one of the reasons why people say, well, what's interesting about what happened in Miami is because Miami, the mall is not all that far away from one of the biggest anomalies in North America, if not anywhere, unexplained, is Coral Castle. Edward. I don't even know, Leedskalnin, Leeds, something like that. I'd have to look at the notes again. What's interesting is, and I have to double check this, but he was from Latvia, very similar region of Tesla and others. So he moved to Florida. He comes to Florida. He's connected with the Coral Castle. Tell us about the Coral Castle and Big Ed. And I say Big Ed jokingly.
Exactly. So 35 miles away from the mall now, if you were to go southwest down from the mall, is the Coral Castle. And what the Coral Castle is, you had Ed, he's a Latvian immigrant. He was engaged to his fiance. She ultimately called off the wedding. So then he spent the next 28 years building a monument to her. He says his lost sweet 16. So from 1923 to 1951, he built what is called the Coral Castle. You called him Big Ed, because he is only 5 foot tall and weighed about 100 pounds.
Yes.
Which, why is that significant? He had poor health, he had tuberculosis, but this castle he placed over 1,100 stones, stones that weighed several tons apiece, 2.2 million pounds worth of limestone that he moved on his own. No help.
And some of the stones were ridiculously heavy. I mean, we're not talking about going to Home Depot or Lowe's and grabbing some cinder blocks.
Yes.
We're talking about some stones that were as big, if not bigger, than the stones of Giza.
Yeah, bigger than the stones of Giza. He was able to move these on his own at night. And there was people who would try to spy on him, but they were never able to actually see what he was doing. There's one group of teenagers that claims they saw him essentially levitating these stones into place. They said it was like a helium balloon was floating. So they said that he was able to tap into some sort of ancient power, ancient energy source that allowed him to move these stones into place. It's an incredible sight. You can look at the pictures. I've never personally been there myself, which I kind of kicked myself. I lived in Florida my whole life. And I've never been there. They were going to have to do a special soul trap trip down to the Coral Castle. But it's not only is it that he built it, but that he also picked it up and moved it.
That's the key.
10 miles in one night to a different location. Because there were certain zoning things that he had to move that. He moved the entire location to a different location 10 miles down the road.
It's the thing interesting too. He never wrote anything about it, never talked about it, never sought publicity, never anything like that.
He wrote a book about magnetism.
Right.
A small booklet about magnetism, but never, hey, I created this new method. It was just, this is what I did.
Some people have argued that he had extraterrestrial help. Some people have argued dimensional help. Some people have argued that he was one of the front runners of the Hutchinson effect, which we talked about before, which is, directed energy, the Hutchinson effect, being able to use gravitational forces, create vacuums around things like that. But I mean, how did he figure that out?
No idea.
How does that happen?
He has the Polaris telescope there. It's a 25-foot, 30 tons, and it's perfectly aligned with the North Star. Perfectly in line with it. 30 tons. You don't just place a 30-ton thing and oops, I'm off by a couple degrees. But he is perfectly placed.
Give it a nudge.
Yeah. You don't just nudge it over, a little to the left, a little to the right. Perfect. No, he placed a 30-ton monolithic structure perfectly aligned with the North Star. So
when you look at the Miami event that took place, it's not off the scopes to go. Some teenagers fired some firecrackers.
Yeah.
Everybody was a little nervous. And 70 plus cop cars showed up and it was what it was. Okay, that might be. I'm not saying that that's not it at all. However, there are anomalies that never get answered.
Right.
And then when you start looking around where it is, and you start asking yourself, are we seeing the incursion? And it's interesting because this event, I would be interested to see what would happen. And maybe this is what we should be on the lookout for. Is if an event like this happened again, at what point will people stop running and start bowing?
Yeah.
At what point are people going to stop running from these alien incursions and start turning around bowing? Do you remember Independence Day? I think there's a scene where they're like on top of the roof.
Yeah.
And we're welcoming you, we're waiting. Okay.
And
they get destroyed. Right. Well, there was like a handful of, I think if you look at the scene, there's like a handful of weirdos up there.
Right.
But what happens if it's not a handful of weirdos? What happens if you have people so conditioned to where an outbreak like that, or an incursion, or whatever you want to call it, is not received with fear, but it's received with worship?
That's what the Pope said, that we need to welcome our otherworldly brothers and sisters in.
And that's exactly what Valet was saying. In essence, what he was saying was, you have a set of events that within a span of a generation, and I would say even less than that, can literally retrain and re-challenge the framework of an entire world just like that overnight.
Yeah.
What used to take a generation to do can be done in a matter of weeks, months, and we're seeing it happen right now.
Yeah, maybe that's one of the main driving forces behind Catholicism being one of the fastest growing religions now in the United States, growing up a huge base. Now you have Pope Leo, whatever he is, saying we need to welcome our brothers and sisters. Next thing, what if he has a closed door meeting at the Vatican with a interdimensional alien, and then next thing you have one of these events show up, and then like you said, we're not running, we're bowing down because we've been told we need to welcome them.
We need to welcome them. Yeah, I mean, what if you had something like the day the Earth stood still, where you have a being show up right at St. Peter's Square, Washington, these kind of things. I mean, you talk about uniting the world. You talk about bringing the world online. I mean, there it is. There it absolutely is. And I would not be, you could even have a situation. I remember, and again, this comes back to, is life producing art or art life? I remember at the end, or towards the end, midway through the X-Files, which was way ahead of its time, talking about Fringe, X-Files, that there were two alien races. There were two alien races. There were the bad guys and there were the rebels. And we had partnered with the rebels and the bad guys. It makes you wonder if that's not going to be a good way to explain the rapture and the thing. Well, there are two groups of extraterrestrials, interdimensional beings, whatever you want to call it. There's the bad guys and there's the good guys. We're the good guys. The riders on the white horse, we're the good guys, the first ones. We're seeing that. And that's what I'm saying. When you look at something like Miami, you go, it's just a bunch of kids. Okay, you might be right. I'm not saying that you're not. It could be what it was. Man, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of anomalies. Yeah. There's a lot of things that go on. And here's the thing that's interesting to me. The lore doesn't die. Lore that has no fire will burn out. But lore that has a fire, it keeps going. And there's something about that people said that was more than meets the eye. That was in 2024.
Yep.
We are now in 2026. We are right smack in the middle of disclosure. You're getting it. If you're waiting for disclosure, it's happening right now, real time. You're living it right now. Yeah. The real question is discernment and definition. Exactly who or what are we seeing? And then discerning how we have to move forward. I submit to you, the next step in the evolution of this disclosure is going to be religious. Religious. And that's where the Pope comes in. And that's going to be something that is going to be very, very fascinating. We'll have to come back and talk about it again. But here we are. So here it is. We've been talking about it for a decade or more now. Jacques Vallée was talking about it in 1979. Others have been talking about it. But here we are, 2026. We're not waiting for disclosure. We're living in it. You're seeing it happen on your screen in real time. It's not disclosure that we're after. It's discernment. Who or what are we dealing with? And how are we to respond? That's what the Soul Trap is about. That's what the Bible is about. And I hope we've sparked some conversations, some thoughts, some interest in this subject. It ain't going anywhere. It is here.
Do you think that there are aliens here? And do you think they might still be here? Based on the circumstantial evidence of everything that I've gathered throughout my whole life and all the testimonies in Congress that I've heard, I absolutely think that they have been here and they are here. And who knows, maybe they've always been here. Do you believe that our government is in possession of UAPs?
Absolutely, based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years.
And where?
I know the exact locations, and those locations were provided to the Inspector General. Has any of the activity been aggressive, been hostile in your reports? I know of multiple colleagues of mine that got physically injured, and the activity by UAPs or by people within the federal government.
A large number of pastors that had been invited to go to a certain state to hear some men in the United States government and others share with them a concern that they have. And this particular man, now I'll not name him, and then we may end up going teaching with him or having an event at his church, at his great church. But he said, Perry, what they're about to release, from what we're hearing, there's going to be a release concerning aliens and concerning unidentified flying objects, spacecraft, that some of the people who were in the meeting were telling us as pastors, you need to prepare your people and you need to get ready to answer them for what you're about to hear being released.